Okay, I'm going to present here my presentation, which this is a rough draft of presenting at the International Enneagram Association's conference in August 1st or August 2nd to 4th, 2013 in Denver, Colorado. So this is entitled "Discovery of the Trigon." And the subtitle is "Diagramming Concepts Presented in Facets of Unity" by A.H. Almaas led to the discovery of the Enneagram's true form, which turns out to be both closer to the Sufi original and a perfection of it. And it is a perfection of the Kabbalah as well. By Paul Joseph Park, copyright 2012, all rights reserved. Note: ideas, concepts, and discoveries are not protected by copyright law. Merely the original expression of them is. Alright. So, here we go. Alright, so finding a unifying structure. Facets of Unity by A.H. Almaas implies a unifying structure to the Enneagram and a hierarchy of spiritual qualities. Basic trust, a gut quality of the soul, is identified as the key to experiencing the holy ideas. 3 of the holy ideas cultivate theological virtues of the heart: hope, faith, and love. The 9 holy ideas are objective perceptions of reality on the level of the mind. Okay, here is the diagram of the structure of what I got out of Facets of Unity. So Almaas was indicating that there's this concept, there's this quality of basic trust, which enables all the 9 holy ideas to be seen. And he says having basic trust is more important than seeing the holy ideas. And it's one of the core qualities to being a realized person, to being able to live in reality without your ego, without your personality. And it's a quality present in the gut. And then, as he's describing the 9 holy ideas, which are objective perceptions of reality of the mind, he says that 3 of the holy ideas result in these 3 theological virtues, which are openings of the heart, openings on the level of the heart in response to experiencing objective reality. So,
he was recording something.
That's okay. It's a rough draft. Okay.
Gosh. Sorry.
No.
You guys are stupid.
No.
They don't know what they do.
No. We're all stupid. Okay, so love, faith, and hope are these objective qualities on the level of the heart. So, in my sort of conceptualization of all the concepts presented in the book, I was trying to get a sense of the relationship between the gut, the heart, and the mind with respect to the Enneagram and the holy ideas that Almaas was presenting. And this is what I started to diagram, just to sort of wrap my mind around the ideas in the book. So the structure, from structure to diagram. The author, myself, diagrammed what I saw as the structure presented in Facets of Unity. That's what you just saw. The author sought to merge his diagram with the Enneagram figure. Naturally, he placed his point representing basic trust in the center of the circle. Then he trifurcated lines out to 3 points within the circle, the heart points. Then he trifurcated lines out from each heart point to the points on the circumference. So this is the diagram that I came up with when I first tried to superimpose the structure that I saw in Facets of Unity onto the circle of the Enneagram. So this point is basic trust, and that goes out to love, hope, and faith. And then that goes out to the holy ideas. This is strength. Of course, this is 0.5, 6, and 7. And this is 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that structure that we just looked at, the line segments from the heart points to the mind points of 3, 6, and 9 were shorter than those to the other 6 points. The desire for symmetry led to lengthening the segments to points 3, 6, and 9 and shortening the segments to the remaining 6 points. And so basically, I noted that these 3 segments, in comparison to these segments, were shorter. So my inclination was to extend the length of this point and shorten this one, and that indicated that the figure would become more like a triangle. And so this suggested a triangular shape around the points instead of a circle. So when I inscribed the points on a within a triangle, this is what I found. I found that so now these segments, well, they're not equal as I was probably hoping them to be, or what my kind of intention and my goal was to try to even these 3 out. While they didn't become equal, they became closer to equal, and then I just noted that, well, a triangle may just as well be as good, if not better, than a circle. So I put the triangle out there, and then in terms of where these would cross this segment, logically, I decided to trisect that side of the triangle. So then I realized, okay, given this internal structure of the 1 point, and then the 3 points, and then the 3 more, so this 3 times 3, given that, reflecting on it, while the resulting segments were not equal, they were closer to equal than before. So then I ran with the triangle idea and began to explore its implications. I looked at what this would mean for the hexad inscribed in the triangle. So the next thing, I inscribed the hexad in the triangle, and this is what it looks like. And, well, we can see that it's basically a lot more. It's a lot more simple and streamlined than the current Enneagram figure. So basically, obviously, you have all the 9 points. The hexad is inscribed, and basically all of the angles in the figure are now multiples of 30. So this is a 90-degree angle, this is a 30-degree angle, this is a 60. Well, actually, in this case right here, it is 30, 30. So 30, 30, and then all angles add up to 180. So that's 60. So this is a 120. This is 60, 90. So this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. This is 30, 30, 120. This is 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, 60. That's 90 right there, 90. And then this is 60. And so this has to add up to 360. So that's 180, and then 60 plus what equals 180. Another 120 right there, 120, 120, 120. And then you have 60, 60. So anyway, you have all this. And then, so one of the main things I then saw was that the triadic relationships among the points were now extremely geometrically meaningful. For example, the relationship between points 1, 3, and 5, which is a harmonic triad, we're now in an equilateral triangular relationship, as well as 4, 6, and 8, and as well as 2, 7, and 9. The Hornevian triads, points 3, 7, and 8, points 1, 2, and 6, points 9, 5, and 4 are in a geometrically significant relationship. Now, the points on the hexad now are in a perfect hexagram, and in fact, if you draw these points lines in, you'll get the Star of David. So I immediately began to see many perfections with the new way of drawing it. So reflection, it looked good, simpler to draw, easier to follow, all angles now multiples of 30 degrees, and most importantly of all, meaningful, the triadic relationships among the points perfectly represented in meaningful geometry, meaningless geometry in the Enneagram now meaningful in the trigon. Okay, triadic relationships. Points have meaningful geometric relationships with each other. Harmonic triads, Hornevian triads, three corners, meaningful geometrically. Geometric perfections realized. Many ways to draw lines, connect points, and show relationships. Now, four heretofore hidden or implicit points, now explicit. And that's what I'll show on this slide. So now with this figure, we retain the 9 original points of the current Gurdjieffian Enneagram, and then we actually regain 4 points that were present in the original Sufi Enneagram. So for the purposes of my structure, this is basic trust, love, hope, and faith. And so these are significant generating points of the system, of the dynamic. And so now they're present in the figure. This is the original Sufi Enneagram taken from the research of Dr. Laleh Bakhtiar, PhD, who's done lots of research into the roots of the Enneagram, the Sufi roots of the Enneagram. And as you can see, all importantly, there's the center point, which Gurdjieff kind of left behind, point 0, the all-important point 0, and then there's interior points, 9, 3, and 6. Now, I only discovered this after I discovered the trigon. In fact, I just discovered it quite recently. And then you have the 9 exterior points on the circle. And curiously, in this figure, the Sufis poked out points 6, 9, and 3 a little bit off from the circle, so they could get sort of this this diamond shape right here going on to show the relationships between points 5, 6, and 7, and this interior point 6, which represents the virtue of temperance. In the Sufi figure, this point was considered to have underdeveloped temperance, this one overdeveloped temperance, and this one completely undeveloped temperance. So this represented the virtue, and then this represented different ways that the soul could have that virtue out of balance, as well as a similar structure for the other two sides. I'll come back to this figure to discuss some other significant points. So now, if we break down, if we number the points, just like the Sufi Enneagram, which is what I actually settled on doing, the points would be 1 through 9 as we have in the current Enneagram, and then the interior points, the center being 0, and then these 3 points being 3, 6, and 9, which follows from the structure presented in facets of unity, in that points 9, 3, and 6 are not only objective perceptions, objective mental perceptions of what is, but also 3 heart perceptions of what is. So their holy idea contains both a mind level, which is this is the mind level in my conceptualization and structure of the whole system, as well as all masses. This is the heart level, and then this is the gut level with respect to the holy ideas. So, the essence of the trigon is simply these 13 points and their geometric position with respect to one another. The center point, the 3 interior points, and the 9 external perimeter points. So, the trigon is defined by these 13 points and their geometric relationship with one another. All labels on these points and all lines between the points are not essential to the meaning and structure of the system. Simply the 13 points and their positions. We do number them this way, and they do mean what these numbers imply. They mean, in our case, basic trust, love, hope, faith, and the 9 holy ideas. This is the essential structure. Now I'll go into some of the ways that you can draw the lines among the points to highlight different relationships among the 13 points. So this slide right here demonstrates the harmonic triads among the points. So we see as according to Riso Hudson, this is the competency triad, points 1, 3, and 5, and they're centered around the point of hope. Points 8, 4, and 6 are the reactive triad, and they are centered around the point of faith. And points 9, 2, and 7, according to Riso and Hudson, are termed the positive outlook triad. Now, these particular triads are quite meaningful to me, and of course to the Enneagram. The triads, the way that I see it is that each point in the triad basically is focused on the center point of their triad, and that point is if they're spiritually awakened, then they have that quality present. But if they are not spiritually awakened, then that quality is absent for them, and they're fixated on the absence of that quality. So points 1, 3, and 5 to a large extent are focused on the absence. So points 1, 3, and 5 who are relatively unawakened are fixated on the absence of hope in their hearts, and so that's a driving force in their personality. And conversely, in awakened 1s, 3s, and 5s, the presence of hope is very important to their spiritual growth and development. Points 8, 4, and 6 in an unawakened state are focused on the absence of faith to a large extent, and the awakened 4s, 6s, and 8s are awakened to faith. And likewise, points 9, 2, and 7, when they are relatively asleep, they are not awake to the presence of love. And if they are spiritually awake, then they are present to awake to the presence of love. So, also, that was sort of a revelation that I made when discovering this figure, was the function of this center point with respect to the harmonic triads. So I consider that to be a significant development in addition to the overall shape of the figure. I consider that discovery to be a significant development in the theory of the Enneagram. Is this central theological virtue being important to the points on the harmonic triads. Also, part of the theory that I developed with respect to this figure is that a point or a type in an enlightened stage can be seen to have the theological virtue at the center of their harmonic triad be important and modified by the theological virtue that is adjacent to them. So a 1 will have loving hope, and a 2 will have hopeful love, and a 3 will have hopeful hope, and a 5 will have faithful hope, and a 6 will have faithful faith, and a 7 will have faithful love, and an 8 will have loving faith, and a 9 will have loving love. Okay, so we will see some similar dynamics with respect to the center point, where we have 3 different equilateral triangles centered around the center points. So a theme in the trigon, which is what I discovered when I kind of saw the dynamics of this figure, is that important is the nature of an equilateral triangle with a point at with a center point, with a point at its center. So and there are 6 of such triangles. 3 are these harmonic triangles, which are secondary secondary equilateral triangles, and the primary equilateral triangles are formed by points 3, 6, and 9, points 1, 4, and 7, and points 2, 5, and 8, and all those 3 triangles share as a center point the center of the entire diagram, which is basic trust. So in harmony and with what Almas has stated, a type with respect to enlightenment and essence is when they are unenlightened, they have the absence of basic trust, which is the quality at the center of the equilateral triangle, which they are at the corner of. And if they are enlightened, then there is the presence of basic trust at the center of that primary equilateral triangle, which they are a member of, which is all the points. Okay, just to illustrate some other relationships, as we are all familiar with, the 3 corners of the Enneagram, points 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9, and 1, and in this case they are congregated nearby this point of this theological virtue: love, hope, and faith. The Hornevian triads, the withdrawns, the compliants, and the aggressives. Everything becomes easier to remember, to visualize, and makes clear geometric sense. This figure is particularly revealing or clear. The holy ideas presented by Almas can each be represented by a line going directly from the point on the perimeter of the trigon to the center point, which represents basic trust, living daylight, essence, being, God. A holy idea is a direct perception of what is, of reality. So this point represents objective reality. So each of these lines can represent the holy idea of that type. So 6 is strength and faith, and perfectly this point, this line goes through the point representing faith, and then this is wisdom, work, and plan, truth, and the holy idea for 9 goes through the point, the heart point of love, corresponding to the way that Almas has explained the system of the holy ideas. Point 1, perfection; 2, will and freedom; 3, hope, harmony, and law, going through the point representing hope; and origin, transparency, and omniscience. So really, I think this figure perfectly embodies what was said in Facets of Unity. I kind of see this as the philosopher's gem, Almas's diamond. This is the view of enlightened reality. This is enlightenment. This is it. Now, I actually like this, the harmonic trifurcations. We saw the harmonics before, but what this kind of shows is the nature of the trifurcations happens twice. So in the same way. So there's your center point going out to your 3 heart points, the 3 theological virtues, the center point being basic trust, love, hope, and faith. And then at each of those heart points, you make structurally the same type of bifurcation or trifurcation to get to the harmonic, the points of the harmonic triad of that point. And so with these 2 trifurcations, you get the 3 times 3 to get the 9 points. And also in this particular figure, probably most clearly of all the figures that I've shown, you can probably tell that this figure can be 3D. It can actually be a prism. It can be a tetrahedron, a crystal, glass, diamond prism, which I will get to later. I will come back to that. The place of the circle. Okay, so now we have arrived at a figure that apparently has abandoned the concept of the circle. However, it is not necessary to abandon the circle. In fact, it's quite useful to use the circle conceptually. If we use the circle, we can come up with at least these three concentric circles, all centered on the all-important point 0. And so the interior one is these 3 theological virtues, which I call the spiritual circle. And then these 6 points fall on a circle, and I call those the psychological circle. And then the final one, the physical circle, meaning that it is, we go from the absolute to essence to personality to the physical. And so those are sort of the layers of reality. And those I just sort of made up, but I think they do represent reality to a certain extent. Now, those actual distinctions between psychological, spiritual, and physical maybe not exactly congruent with the figure, but anyway, you can still see it as a soul, and these points you can see as sort of more distant from essence, and that you can kind of see how points 3, 6, and 9, perhaps they could move from this circle into the interior circle, depending on their level of spiritual development, and then they could make it sort of a quantum leap to the inside. So it's sort of like the atom, where you have these these electrons going around and then getting closer and closer to the center, or the absolute. Implications, clarification of purpose. So the figure indicates to us that the core purpose of the Enneagram is to achieve inner balance, centeredness, a cultivation of our inner virtues, and particularly the three theological virtues of love, hope, and faith, and also basic trust. The importance of the center, the 0 point, ultimate reality, essence, connection with the divine. Love, faith, and hope serve as a tripod in support of developing basic trust in God or reality. Now, I'll look at some other ways to draw the figure, which I think you'll find interesting. This one here are circles drawn with the center of each circle being one of the theological virtues, love, hope, and faith, and the 3 points that are on the points of the harmonic triad that is centered on that particular circle. So this points 9, 2, and 7, points 8, 4, and 6, and points 1, 3, and 5. Now this would be pretty much all the circles that you can draw. This, I consider this the spiritual circle, this the psychological circle, the harmonic centers. So these are sort of the three centers of the spirit, and then the whole circle, so that could be considered the whole person. Alright, and then so the similarities of the trigon with the Sufi Enneagram. So now they both have the point 0 in the center. They both have 3 interior points and 9 exterior points. So why didn't the Sufis discover the trigon? Partly they were working with a circle paradigm that came before they developed the Enneagram. And the Enneagram was developed on top of this circle soul representation, and it never occurred to them to break out of it, is what I presume. It seems that they were possibly heading in that direction, as the exterior points 3, 6, and 9 are a bit off the triangle. Okay, so lastly in this particular presentation, this is a 3-dimensional representation of the trigon. And the base of it, you have points 1 through 9, and then up here you have points 3, 6, and 9 of the 3 theological virtues, and point 0 at the top. So in fact this can be a pyramid, and I personally I would like to construct a temple of trigon, a temple of pure spirit, embodying the ideas, the vision, the concepts, and the spirit embodied in the trigon, embodied in the Enneagram. So thank you very much.